I'm certain by now that all of you know that not only did Bungie cancel their third Curse of Osiris livestream, but replaced it with a blog post titled The State of Destiny 2, where they discussed what they plan to do to fix the game in the coming weeks, as well as mentioning what their priorities are if those changes aren't coming anytime soon. I know many of you are fully aware as to what the post said, as you read it yourself or at the very least watched one of the 700 other videos posted about what's new. But I don't want to simply discuss what's new, I want to actually talk about what we read and how I feel it will affect the game in the long term. The post was filled with a lot of little bits and pieces, so let's just get into it. Bungie made it very clear as to what their goals were with the 2 December updates coming on the 5th and 12th. They want to deepen rewards, provide more player control, make shards useful, and to provide general quality of life fixes wherever possible. These are their words. And for the most part, I will say they are taking the right steps in the right direction to do exactly those things. Bungie, with this blog post as a whole, has indeed taken 2 steps forward, and then stopped and metaphorically is deciding if they want to take a step backwards or not. And to be honest, until majority of what was said in the post is in our hands and we know how long-term and enjoyable these additions are, they are standing still pretty much in limbo when it comes to these metaphorical direction changes. The first edition coming on December 12th is what are known as Masterwork Legendaries. Masterworks will have a few advantages over the baseline versions, with the ability to track and display kills with that weapon, generate orbs for you and your allies on multi-kills, and added weapon stat bonuses that are selected randomly from a small pool of re-rollable stats. They are said to come from any source that legendaries are obtainable, with the raid and trials having higher drop rates. And unwanted masterworks can be dismantled into materials that can upgrade an existing legendary into a masterwork. This idea overall is forward momentum. The addition of masterworks seems to be the fabled answer to the Luke Smith quote from way back in June discussing how my 1st, 3rd, and 10th better devils will be worthwhile. We all know that quote. However, the idea of Masterworks creates a few questions that won't be answered until the 12th, when we have it in our hands. But those questions are, how rare are Masterwork legendaries, and how many materials does it take to upgrade existing legendaries into Masterworks? Which those questions in turn create more questions, such as once I have a Masterwork version of the legendary I want, how large is the quote-unquote small pool of random stats, and what does it cost to re-roll those same stats to the one I want? Right now, I am cautiously optimistic about this change. This is exactly what can extend the duration of the game and give us long-term goals, but at the same time, this feature can end up being way too cheap and easy to obtain and only keep us entertained for 2 weeks, and then return us to the same problem we have right now. Only time will tell how this feature does, and I personally hope it does well, because the idea itself is a really cool idea. Next on the list of major changes Bungie announced was armor ornaments. These ornaments will be unlocked by completing objectives specific to each set. And during Season 2, they will be available for Vanguard sets, Crucible sets, Trials sets, Iron Banner sets, Dead Orbit Future War Cult and New Monarchy sets, and the new Eater of Worlds Raid Lair armor set. This is a cool feature, but I honestly feel it will take a week to get, and then simply leave us in that now what state. In the picture showed in the blog post, it shows the helmet ornament requiring 25 matches won in Iron Banner, and to be fair, that's a decent amount of playtime, but it's still 1 week of casual play at best. However, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that right up until the last day of Season 2, I'm still fighting to get that last ornament for that last piece of gear in that last set. As I doubt I will be though, as 25 wins sets the bar for the rest of the ornaments in the game. However, I do feel a cosmetic chase is a great idea, as I know others have suggested cosmetic chases in the past, but in my opinion, you have to set the bar higher than 25 wins. But like I said numerous times, when the 5th arrives or the 12th arrives and we have this in our hands, I will pass judgment then. Regardless of longevity, at least it's something to chase, and that's a positive thing. Then we have the faction armor and weapons being unlocked at most of the vendors in the game. Bungie heard us and gave us the option to finish sets if we had been grinding for them for a while. They stated that on December 12th, all 5 armor slots will be present and weapons will rotate weekly if they're available for that said faction. They even added the fantastic change by having those slots being unlocked by claiming a certain amount of reward engrams from their respective factions, meaning, like their example, I would need to have ranked up Lord Shaxx in the Crucible 2 times before I'm able to purchase the Binary Phoenix Cloak, to which I can only assume increases in number to maybe 4 and then 6 and then onwards for all the other pieces. But then they took that grind all away. They took this idea and basically said it doesn't exist because they made it retroactive. So players like me, who have opened 30 to upwards of 200 engrams per faction, depending on that faction, just unlock it. Why? Bungie, this is so good, and then you just wasted all those man hours that it took to make this thing and just made them disappear. Seriously, stop making things retroactive. How have you not learned from this already? Well, to be fair, I can see how they haven't learned from this, but why do this again? It was such a good idea, Bungie. It was a good idea, but then you made it retroactive. Why? Let's move on. Next on the list of major changes was Xur, and this has people pissed. Not because of the faded engrams. That's a really cool idea. Every week, Xur brings one of the new faded engrams that will decrypt into exotics that you don't have. And that's a fair thing, because it's only one per week, and it costs 97 shards. It's not too much, and people seem to like this idea, and I do too. However, what people are angry about is the return of the infamous 3 of coins. Now, before you lose your mind, I want to discuss these. I want to give you my take on how these might be an okay addition. Note the word might. These new 3 of coins last 4 hours with no obscure stacking mechanics and no need to reply them after every boss. They are a flat bonus to exotic drop rate from any source for 4 hours. This, however, has people up in arms, saying things like, why are they bringing these back, why reduce the exotic chase, and for me, I think the reason being is that exotics per item are the best source of legendary shards, and since they have added a multitude of legendary shard dumps into the game, having something that produces exotics, which in turn produces legendary shards, might, note that might, be the reason for 3 of coins and their addition. But like everything else, we will have to wait and see how these play out. And last on the list of major changes is the overhaul to Banshee, if you can even call it an overhaul. Banshee now sells rotating legendary mods that are available for purchase at the cost of mod components and legendary shards. However, these are the same mods we've had since day one. Bungie really needs to add more mods with more potency that do more things before I personally begin caring about the mod system. Early on in the lifecycle of Destiny 2, the mods were a really cool feature, but now in hindsight, without a vast improvement to the mod system, this is just another wasted opportunity and a waste of resources. But I will say that I can see the benefit for players that aren't as hardcore as I am. It gives them an opportunity and an avenue to get mods, and I get that, but I think they can expand on mods more than just here's how you get them easier. There were other changes in the blog post, such as Raoul selling legendaries again, thank you for returning that feature that we had in Destiny 1, fixes to the chest farming lockouts, thank you for actually acknowledging that that was annoying, and general token economy changes. But I felt these topics weren't big enough to discuss individually or at all. This video may have come off as negative or that I dislike what's coming, but that is the furthest from the truth. I want Destiny 2 to be great, and I know I'll have fun playing the Curse of Osiris for a few weeks, which is great because I want to play Destiny 2 because I like the game, but for the last 2 months I haven't had a reason to do so. But my concern right now, as I type this script and spew my thoughts at you, my biggest concern is whether this will last longer than a few weeks, because I really feel that it'll be short-lived. However, I will personally say that if I am wrong, if Masterworks is game-changing, and the things that they add to Destiny 2 with Curse of Osiris add something we don't know about, and all these things are game-changing, then I'll eat my words. But right now, my personal thoughts is these are good changes, these are 2 steps forwards, and we're waiting for Bungie to see if they're going to take a step back or take that 3rd step forward. Because a lot of what Bungie does and what a lot of Bungie has done over the last 4 years is 2 steps forward, 1 step back, over and over and over again. And I hope that this time, finally, regardless of the reasoning, they're finally going to take that 3rd step forward before stepping backwards. Regardless, guys, it should be obvious. I like Destiny, and I want it to succeed. Don't take this video personally, as it's purely my thoughts on some text and we haven't seen it in practice. It was 2 steps forward and Bungie's about to take that next step. We just have to wait to see what direction that step will be in. End of the day, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit that like button, and if you're new here, subscribe. Join the Multilux Discord, follow me on Twitter, do all the description things. The Curse of Osiris is almost here, and I'm ready for it. And a week later, we'll have a multitude of changes to play around with and see how things play it out. And I'm excited to actually dive into them and see what they bring to the game. But with all that said, I'm gonna get out of here. So my name is Matt, and I'll see you guys next time.